And I think we're live, but let me just double check. And there we are, live. Welcome back to the Changed Physician. I am Melissa Cady, the Challenge Doctor, with my co-host, Dr. Kevin Cuccaro. And we're here with our Saturday salutations, just to say hi at our typical scheduled time around the 2 p.m. Central, noon Pacific time, being that my co-host is over there. And we like to just share what's happened this past week and some of our favorite things or just some gratitude comments, whatever we feel like doing, or sometimes a random tangent that who knows where it goes. So
they're never just random tangents. Come now.
Well, stream of consciousness in some ways. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Well, cool. Well, let me just mention what had released this past week for the podcast. And of course, we typically release a podcast on Sunday and Thursdays. Of course, on Instagram, we'll either put a trailer or a post of some sort to remind you what has released in the recent week or so. And you can always go to YouTube to see the video versions of our podcast. Of course, you can always listen to audio at all of your favorite podcast venues. But being that it is the 23rd of October, on last Sunday, we released one of our episodes talking about reclaiming the driver's seat in your career, and it kind of addresses several things related to autonomy. And you're just going to have to listen to it, because I think it's something that many of us as physicians we feel like we have this loss of autonomy, but there's other things that we should consider when we kind of want to reclaim that driver's seat, not just in our career, probably just in our lives in general. But and then we followed up with another episode this past Thursday on what it's like to survive a crisis of faith in medicine. I really love that episode because Kevin was willing to share his personal story of many feelings and thoughts, intentions, and even just reflections on those choices and how it's impacted his life. And I think a lot of us go through some of this at some point to some extent. So really encourage you to listen to both those episodes. But I definitely really like hearing your story too. I've heard it before, but it's always nice to dive a little deeper. So how are you today?
I am well, actually. It is a wonderful Saturday morning. It is hazy with a light, film of precipitation in the colors. Colors are changing, and we just happen to live right where our house is. There's the street coming up to the house is lined with, I don't know if they're maples. I should look at what kind of tree they are, but they're freaking gorgeous. They line both sides, and we actually this is the photographer season. All these people come and drive and park their cars, and it's literally right outside our door. So it's really super nice. It's been nice. It's been a wonderful week. Yeah. Yay.
Well, since you said it was a wonderful week, was there any favorite things over the last week?
Oh, there were so many favorite things this week. One, I was waiting for Dune to come out, and it broke. It dropped on Thursday. I wanted to see it on the theater, but then I don't know. Anyway, I just ended up watching it at home. It was still awesome. I still want to see it again in the theater because it's so visually stunning. It was a little upsetting. I knew that it was only half.
Don't tell me everything. I want to see.
Well, you should watch it. I mean, first of all, Denny Villanueva, I think I can't pronounce his last name. He's one of my favorite directors because he did Blade Runner 2049, which I loved. They're just awesome movies. The visualness and the characters are just they're just awesome. And so Dune was no different. The only frustrating thing, I knew this, was that it's not the whole book, right? They said it was only going to be part of the story. What I didn't realize until after I watched the movie is they have not even greenlit the second half, which killed me. Because now if people don't watch this movie, you'll never see the second half. So people, you need to go watch this movie.
Go watch it.
Money so that they make the second half. Because this is awesome theater, not crap movies that they post all the time. This is it's just awesome.
Well, good.
Yeah. Anyway,
hopefully,
so that was really cool.
If it's really that good, it'll spread and people are going to watch it. So I definitely need to watch it.
You would think that.
You would think.
People. I'm going to be super cruel here. Americans, I think, sometimes don't know how to watch movies. Like,
You mean you're saying Americans aren't perfect?
I don't even think they're close. Well, not even close to perfect. I think sometimes they just need something super stupid and they can't take a moment and say, oh, I don't, this isn't spoon fed to me, whatever. Like, I don't know.
You mean
It just
stuff that makes you think?
makes you think, or you have to actually pay attention to the movie. It's not like rocket ships blowing up all the time. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I'm
Very,
hoping
very
that they
reflective
appreciate
of
it.
our state of affairs in our
Yeah.
this century of humankind in America.
Yeah. So anyway, that was one of my favorite things. And I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna have a second favorite thing.
Okay.
I went for a walk today with my favorite people, Rashana Prasad, who's an awesome physical
Yes.
therapist, really good friend. And she has a friend who's a hunter who gave her all this meat, elk and venison. And I love an elk and venison meat. And she gave it to me. Now I have to cook some so she'll eat it. But man, I'm just like so excited because I grew up, my grandfather was a big hunter. And so I grew up eating all this stuff. And I haven't had it in years because I don't really hunt anymore. Well, I haven't hunted since he died. Well, way before he died. Anyway, so I've been missing venison. I've been missing elk. And now I have like, I don't know, a good 10 pounds of meat in the freezer waiting to be cooked.
Well, I say I'm a huge animal lover and I don't tend to eat tons of meat. I do enjoy the taste of meat, but I will say the only thing I say as a animal lover is if you kill animal, make sure it doesn't go to waste.
Yep. I would agree. And that's the thing. I think if you're a meat eater, really, then you should actually either hunted and you're preferably hunted at some point. Like I bird hunted when I was younger. But I do think it's important that you at least know where your food's coming from, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't eat a lot of meat either anymore for a bunch of different reasons. I think way back in January, I think when we were talking about this, I did it more from the environmental standpoint, because if you look at industrialized farming of meat predominantly, it's just huge. The environmental impact is just profound. And that really upset me. But game,
you don't need as much.
Yeah, I don't need as much. But game, I think, is a little bit different. And then if you kind of look at what we've done, if you're not hunting in many ways, then we have an overabundance of these non-predators because we've killed all the predators off, and they're based, so you got to do something to call them. Just let them run around, and then they get sick, and then they're all nasty and diseased, and then they get anyway. So that's a long way to say I'm very happy, and I'm looking forward to eating elk and venison again.
Yeah, well, I think it's good to be thoughtful and think about things like we're reflecting on a little earlier in our comments, that we probably don't need to eat as much food in general as we do as Americans, but be mindful. Yeah, like if you even give a flying flip about future generations, like sustainable kind of stuff, you don't have to be an extremist. Just be like, oh, well, we're destroying this and this to get this, and there's going to be ramifications to that, and our population's growing, so what are we going to do? So if we don't do something about it, something's going to destroy us, so we'll find out. Anyway, were you going to say something?
Yeah, it always puts me on a little conversation. So there was an old science fiction book called Earth Abides, and weirdly enough, my elementary school principal recommended me to read that book. I have no idea why. Apparently he saw something, he thought I needed to read this book. It's this old, literally published in the 1950s. And in this book, the population gets wiped out. This is like before Stephen King's, his flu one? I forgot what it was called, where the pandemic carried. This was like a flu, killed all these people, killed like 99.9% of the population. But you made me think of that, because there's a theme in that book, is as these populations rise, eventually something developed that culled it. So the humans was this thing, and it's true. Like if we're not going to control ourselves, then something will control us.
Exactly. I mean, there's just weird, and heck, if you, well, okay, I could go off on tangents here, but if you actually believe there were dinosaurs, and there are fossils of stuff, there were things that happened that probably wiped out quite a few animals in the past. They're extinct.
Actually believe there were dinosaurs. If you believe the fossil record and the fact that you can see that in the ground. Yeah.
Some people still don't believe that.
Some people believe the earth is flat. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, at the place you're standing at, it might look flat, But if you step out into space and actually look at the video of the Earth, how can you say it's flat?
Because you're making money off of telling people that it's flat. I'm pretty firmly convinced that
Yeah.
most of the people who spout the conspiracy things like flat Earth,
Yeah.
the loudest voices, I think, actually don't believe it, but they do know how to monetize it.
Yeah.
Because it's just insane. But whatever.
I know. Well, your mind is all about perception, and however you interpret that information and it gets sunk into your brain is how you're going to view the world. So we can't control everyone's perception. So our goal is to give you a perception of the possibilities of becoming a change physician. So I don't know what else to say there, but I guess my favorite thing, I sound so different from 10 years ago. Like I talk about plants and outdoors and nature and stuff.
You mean
But
you've grown?
what?
You've grown over 10 years?
Oh, can you imagine? That's scary. But no, I discovered I'm waiting for them, but there's a couple things I learned, a couple of things that I've talked about in the past in my garden. I realized, oh, there's still even more to learn about this one plant. I could propagate it just by clipping the ends and like give them as gifts to people so they can grow their own. And but the plant that I ordered, actually, I want to make a little mini hedge, is a loropetalum. Have you ever heard of that?
Nope.
Loro petalum, loropetalum. But they're green during the summer, and they're evergreens, but they're green for a couple seasons, and then they're purple for a season or two. But during the summer, they get pink flowers, so it almost looks like a pink bush. So it's like green, purple, or pink. So I'm very excited to get like this evergreen hedge that, they're going to be little and they got to grow a little bit, but they have the ability to deal with all kinds of soil and all these things you learn. So I'm very excited to actually find an evergreen that works in my zone, which is AB. For those that don't know anything about growing, we don't freeze too badly around here, but it's got to be able to handle the heat, because we definitely get in triple digits. So I'm very excited. It's more of I'm looking forward to my delivery of these and hoping to God they get to me in a good condition so that I can create this little pretty hedge with pink, purple, or green and give me a variety. I like variety, so I'm like, I need to find that in my little hedge that I want to make. So
yeah,
there you go.
That sounds awesome. I want to.
Yeah, it's not exciting for most people. They're not edible.
Oh, well, that's kind of a bummer. If
that
would be like
a
the
rarity.
trifecta, right? If they were edible too, you can just go and munch on your trees.
Yeah, I've got those for the
Other
backyard.
places.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's my little fun thing, and I'm excited about. And there's probably something else that crossed my mind that I can't think of right now, but I think that would be a good place to close out if you want to.
I think that is a good place for this Saturday, October 23rd, in the middle of the fall. But yeah, so for those of you listening out here, this is Saturday Salutations with the Change Physician. Obviously, join us every Saturday if you want to catch us live, or you can hear us recorded. Always send us a comment if you are so inclined. And as always, you can join the community at thechangephysician.com. And until next week, stay well.
See you later.